Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm here with Amanda Cumming from Actify Chat. Amanda, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. You can also watch me. I was interviewed by Amanda for her show. Please check that out. What is your guys' YouTube channel?
We're actually Actify Press.
Okay.
I'll give you the link.
Okay. I'll put the link in the show notes, guys, so you can check out all the work they're doing over there. So I wanted to talk to you about this kind of, I guess maybe you call it groundswell of teachers' protests and the significance of it. The one in Oklahoma, there's been Kentucky and West Virginia, really all red states are really, they're stepping up. And how do you see these strikes, and how do you see them not just for obviously helping teachers, but in an overall sort of how it affects other aspects of America and the politics in the current state that we're in?
So one thing and about, I guess, these southern areas is funding for public education has been severely cut, as well as pay for teachers. You've got, I think in Kentucky, they basically did what they did here in Tennessee, which was basically getting rid of the pension. So it's not an easy job. You're taking care of more children with less resources. It's not easy by any means. So one thing that these strikes are really kind of communicating to me is that these Republican policies are not working. They're ineffective. They are damaging to the students and teachers. And I think it's fantastic that this is happening. And where it does need to happen the most is in these southern states, because people in the South, I know Tennessee, for instance, unions are pretty hard to find. I know that when VW tried to unionize here, the head of the company wanted to have a union here at the plant. And so they were all set to unionize. They had the head of the company had no problem with it, like a German-owned company, right? And so they over there were like, yeah, all of our companies are unionized throughout the world. It would make sense that they would unionize here. But the Tennessee state legislature basically made it illegal for them to do that. And so they were unable to unionize. But what this is telling me is that people are seeing the power of having a union. Because in Tennessee and other southern states, you're just kind of like, oh, unions are bad. And so it has a very negative connotation associated with them. But then you can see, I don't know if you've seen the conditions that Oklahoma schools were in or are in currently, with the mold, the water leakage. Ugh, it's disgusting. And so, yeah, you need these teachers to advocate for better resources and you can have the power with the union. An individual just can't do it. They're going up against the state government, and that is a huge battle to fight. And so I'm happy to see that people are doing this fight and showing them that when workers band together, they can win, like they did in West Virginia. Now, there are some downsides to that particular victory. The state, I really think that it's by design. I think we were talking about things by design or in the last segment. But what they did, or what they're proposing to do, is in order to pay for the 5% raise increases in West Virginia, they are going to try to cut Medicare and Medicaid benefits. And so, again, you're pitting a fight against the people, right? And so now you've got these people and their families that are relying on that healthcare system that are going to suffer because the teachers wanted a raise. Well, no, your congressional leaders decided that, not the teachers. The teachers deserved and needed a raise, and they fought hard for it. But they're just really trying to get you to fight so that, I don't, you know why they would get them denied. So they have less power than they did before. And so people are resentful towards that, what the teachers in West Virginia did. Now, I think that's on the table, and I'm not sure if that passed as of yet. So hopefully people can kind of see that is, going to, that hopefully they don't do that is the long and short of it. Right. And just generally overall, I'm very happy to see that people are in unions and doing this and fighting against the state to help not only themselves, but their students. Because if you don't advocate for kids, who will?
The thing I thought to me that was significant, especially in Oklahoma City, is they shut down the schools. And right. It's something we were talking about in the other video, like the March for Our Lives. And I've said this before on this channel, which is good, but it's on a Saturday. And I think if these high school kids want to get they want to get gun reform, don't go to school for 2 or 3 weeks. And then we'll see what happens. Everything will shut right. down. And when the teachers want to, that's what you have to do with a strike. You can't strike on Saturday. You have to strike on Monday and then Tuesday and Wednesday and keep going until people go, oh, man. Like there's a very famous strike in New York City. I think it was in the 70s, the garbage union strike. Well, guess what? They found a solution to that when garbage started piling up in the streets of Manhattan. So I think that's what it's going to take to really change and shake up the one percenters in the corporate state. That was the problem with the Occupy Wall Street. They took a lot of pride in we have no leader or point. And just occupying Wall Street was okay, but you need to shut stuff down. You need to make it hard for them to make money and whatever else. And when you do that, then I think people that's what a strike is about. You have to force people to the negotiation table. And
right. I think it's about making other people's lives inconvenient, right? So that they take notice, so that they're like, wow, this is impacting me now. I don't like that. One thing I think is very smart that these teachers are doing, even though they are shutting school down, they're forcing an inconvenience on the parents and also on the legislature and things like that. But one thing that I do think is particularly smart about these strikes is that they are still sending lunches to students that need it.
Yeah.
And so you can see that they're telling, the message with that is saying, we're not fighting you guys. We're not fighting you as a parent personally or our students. We're not here. We want them to still get what they need, still get their resources and still be able to eat food. Which is crazy that they even have to do that in the first place. We live in the richest country in the world and they have to do packaged lunch for their students because their family can't afford it. Crazy. But that being said, they're telling their students, they're telling their parents that the fight isn't on you. We're not fighting you. And so I think that is incredibly smart to do that.
Well, yeah, it gets
so
the
that
families
you tell who the target is.
Yeah, and then you're getting the families to rally around the teachers versus vilifying them, which is what obviously management and the government will try to do is vilify them.
Right. I think was it Kentucky? I think it was in Oklahoma. The governor there was like, "Oh yeah, the teachers are lazy."
Yeah, I believe it was Oklahoma. It was the woman, I forget her name, but she's a Republican, and they forced her to really start dealing. What other strikes or walkouts do you see that need to happen to really affect change?
So I guess it kind of depends on the change that we're aiming for, right? One thing that I really find just atrocious about this country is how Black Lives Matter has been vilified. And I think they have a point. I mean, the data that you're able to obtain does not lie. Blacks are killed more frequently than their white counterparts. Black women are actually killed more frequently than their white counterparts, more frequently than black men, by the police, unarmed. So you've got this whole situation where Black Lives Matter have been vilified. I really think that, first off, I wish there was kind of more of a white consciousness about this issue, because it's not something that this community can do by themselves. Because they have been inconvenient in some areas. It's just only in Black neighborhoods a lot of the time.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they moved that to white neighborhoods, how the reaction would be. Was I reading this? When did I hear about this? About the rats that the man released? Anyways, there was I think I was reading about this in a black neighborhood. Their pest control stopped coming for some reason, and it was back in the 60s when segregation was a thing. And so he just started compiling the rats that he found, live rats, and would drive them into white neighborhoods and say, I'm going to release this if nothing is done. Because they assured the finances were there to assure that the pest control was covered in the white neighborhood that was kind of adjacent to them. And so he just drove around day in and day out and said, I'm going to release these. I'm going to release these. There's nothing illegal to this. And at first they tried to go after him with their legal means. And then there was nothing on the law books, saying that anything he was doing was illegal. He was on the public street. There was nothing saying he couldn't release any type of vermin in any area. And so they eventually got so annoyed by him threatening to release them. And I think at some point he did sometimes release them, that they actually did something about it. And got rid of the rodents and the bugs and things like that. So you have to be inconvenient. That's one of the lone man protest type of thing, which is amazing, but it still led to action.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but you've got to maybe come out of your community to do it. And so I hope that Black Lives Matters, when something does happen, and it happens all the time, they go out of their community, because you have to make everybody inconvenienced about it. Otherwise, they don't see you.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think you got to bring. I mean, part of marches and resistance is awareness to people who maybe weren't aware or weren't paying it, didn't know, or didn't realize. And I think that's what you have to do. I think you need to find the ways to do that, and like you say, make it inconvenient, make people you have to deal with me now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here peacefully, but I am blocking whatever. And I think that's a great point. And you know, I saw, I've heard some people say who were involved in Black Lives Matter, they were like, well, the Women's March was great, but what happened to our movement? There's still, and that just happened in Sacramento, a guy who was holding a cell phone,
Yeah.
And there was another story that just came out. I think Jimmy Dore tweeted this, of a white guy had a gun, threatened officers. They told him, stand down, never shot the guy. He's with a gun, and they still took him peacefully. They still didn't kill him. And it's so preposterous for me, but I think it's what, Chris Hedges references this a lot, in especially in Death of the Liberal Class. At the end of the book, he says it's going to take, he's not an advocate of violence at all, and neither am I, because that just leads to civil war, and then violence begets more violence, and then people who were fighting the good cause then become justified in doing atrocious acts, and it never works. But he's like, it's going to take real resistance, and it's going to take, sit-ins and strikes and all this type of stuff to happen on every corner that we can. And that, to me, the teacher strikes in red states and they're getting victories is very, very significant, and it's going to take more of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have to, because they're forcing the issue onto people. Again, having to be inconvenient, taking notice. I was going to say something about Black Lives Matters. What was it that I was going to say? I don't remember. But What was it? Because I felt like it was a really good point. What was it? Yeah, we already addressed that they need to come out of their neighborhoods to do this stuff. I don't remember. That's because I was like kind of ruminating the entire time. Like, I need to say this, I should have just interrupted you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I totally agree. And I think that these are showing, that if Black Lives, here was my point. If the thing about Black Lives Matters is that people just are kind of not realizing is that it's addressing the police state too. Because it's trying to hold police accountable for their actions. When they're not held accountable for their actions, they can run amok and do anything that they please.
Anyone.
And are legally justified in doing so. So a movement like that needs to become a lot more powerful and a lot more inconvenient and just has to have a lot more notice so that it's addressing not only this racial discrepancy, but also the police state. I think that if it was successful, it would inevitably do something about police state as well.
I think you could tie all three of these things we just mentioned, the teacher strike, Black Lives Matter, and like the Women's March, marching for women's issues. I think you could tie them all together by saying, look, if we cut the military budget in half, we have jobs for everybody, which reduces crime. We can more money into schools. We can have free college education. When people have access to good education and good jobs, they're less likely to be involved in crime. We can then get into more community policing, which we can demilitarize the police because we're demilitarizing our military around the world. You want money for reproductive rights. Cut the military budget in half. You want, maternity leave, paid maternity leave, give me an issue and I will find the money in cutting the military budget in half,
Oh, absolutely. Healthcare.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. I mean, that's, I think, the one that everybody clicks to because they're like, yeah, healthcare costs, I can't afford it. Or like I have a medical condition and I, have to do a GoFundMe, for instance, in the richest country in the fucking world, and they have to set up a GoFundMe page. And yet our military budget is expansive and it grows every single time that they negotiate a budget. It increases every time. I can't think of a time that it didn't increase. 5
Democrats voted in the fall to give to give Trump $80 billion more dollars to the military that he didn't even need. He didn't even ask for it. And so there's so many quick and easy solutions. If we stop spending, we outspend the next 7 countries combined.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, and by the way, that's not going to military personnel. That's going to defense contractors. So it's not like the privates are going to get a pay increase.
No.
There is going to build bombs and guns and defense contractors. I mean, it's alarming and it's just so aggravating. And I hope people can realize that if you cut the military budget in half, we'll still have defense. We will be safe. We'll still have military personnel and they will still get paid. But you know what? Maybe we have less bombs to bomb people with, and maybe that's not such a bad thing. And anybody have a problem with that? I would find it hard to believe that someone would take issue with, oh my goodness, my medical expenses are covered. Are you kidding me?
And if we're not,
everybody has a healthcare problem or a healthcare issue, and they will face something like that. If not them, a family member. Everybody will experience that or has experienced it.
And if you're not bombing the Middle East, you're not creating terrorists.
Exactly.
So,
which is another issue, right? I mean, the military budget, yeah, that would solve so many issues. You don't have creating terrorists. Now you have healthcare. Now you have free college. Now you've got your teachers paid. Now you've got paternity leave. I mean, just everything. Like all of this can fall under one massive umbrella of let's cut the military budget in half and have that go to social programs. a New Deal, for instance, and where everybody would have a job guarantee, where everybody's guaranteed paternity, maternity leave, where everybody's guaranteed disability insurance or disability, Social Security disability, where that doesn't get privatized and doesn't decrease, but it expands and increases. Maybe the retirement age reduces to 50 and not 60 something.
Right.
If you cut the military budget in half. Wouldn't that be nice? Yes. That way you're not thinking in your 60s, like going like, man, I wish I had gotten the opportunity to go to Europe, but I was working the whole time because I couldn't afford to do so, but to work. People regret those things. Why should they have that regret? Because your country decided to go bomb people and create terrorists.
I know. There could be a Green New Deal. We could be putting the whole country to work making green energy. And it's on down the line. But I very much thank you for your time, Amanda. And tell us again the name of your website and show that they can watch you.
Our show is called Actified Chat. You can see it on Actified Press website on YouTube. We also have a website at Actified Press, and I'll send you that. I think it's just actifiedpress.com. But all of our videos and our I guess podcasts, our audio podcasts are available through that website as well.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for being on the show. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to this and share the videos on your social media. It's a great way to support the channel, and also go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. Thank you so much for watching.